Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willie Bragg. I'm back. What I'm going to try to do from now on, I'm going to try to be a little bit more diversified as far as getting like an intro prior to an intro. So there's a lot of free music out there that's online that's copyright free. So what you just heard was a Mocha Doma Joy Division post-punk beat from Disbelief 6404 on YouTube. I'm going to put the information down. So, if you're into that sort of thing like I am, follow Disbelief 6404 and support his channel. And so that's what I'm going to do from now on. And kudos to Kenny Arrow, who plays the intro and the outro theme to the Willie Bragg Show. I like the music, so call me biased, I guess. So anyway, shout out to Cowboy Kitty. How are you doing today? I like the stream, fam. Yeah, I appreciate that. I do. Warren Extra Bullet says this better be good. I'm missing the $6 million man for this. I've been watching a little bit of the $6 Million Man on YouTube lately. Yeah, I remember that show mighty well. Let's see. Hey, Miguel, I saw you earlier on Fiorella Isabel's video live stream earlier this afternoon. Free post-punk, pretty much. Yep, that's true. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, the double countdown now. Yep, that's the way I do it. It's just my style, I guess. Twice the number. Countdown to the countdown. Yep, that's correct. That is correct. So today I am going to discuss Tulsi Gabbard. Because it's not like you never heard me talk about Tulsi Gabbard before. I guess you could say that in a way I kind of do suffer a little bit from a Tulsi Gabbard derangement syndrome, because I felt like I've been lied to, and I want to let the world know about what a fraud she is, and a latest reiteration or reminder of the fact that she is in fact a fraud was last week when she was on the Meghan McCain podcast. Citizen McCain is the name of the program. Now, we all know that she's gone to the right, in the last few years. And I have a theory that she's been pushed to the right, not by the left, like the conventional wisdom claims that she was pushed to the right, and she wasn't pushed to the right. She wasn't pushed to the right by the left. She was pushed to the right by somebody who was to the right of her that is considered center left, and I will still argue that she is still to the right of Tulsi today, but is in the Democratic Party, who goes by the name of Hillary Clinton. And I think that, but the thing is that the Overton window is so fucked up in the United States that, and we're so locked down in a two-party quagmire that, it's kind of like, it's very two-dimensional. It's like two-dimensional chess. Most Americans, they were like, I could go Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, shit lib, right wing, shit lib, right wing. It's like there's no nuance. There's no nuance. And it drives me nuts. And it's like, well, if I was some kind of a liberal, once I turn conservative, I'm just going to just give up everything I've ever believed in. Oh, it's frustrating. It is frustrating. Anyway, this photo you see here of Tulsi Gabbard and Meghan McCain being all friendly and everything like that. And I'm not saying that a liberal or conservative or lefty or righty can't be friends. I mean, to say that would mean that I'm just not that kind of a person. But the persona that Tulsi Gabbard was portraying herself in 2019 and 2020 when she was running for president, and the entitled neocon Karen that Meghan McCain was, is, and will always be, you can contrast the projection of two different people in 2019. So in the year 2024, you're thinking, Tulsi Gabbard, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? So she, and now she's begging for Donald Trump to be the running mate, which kind of just revolts me. And I mean, it just, and I'm not voting for Biden. I'm not rooting for Biden in any way capacity. I'm not rooting for Trump either. I want to get that out of the way as well. But the thing about it is that everything that I projected in a positive way about Tulsi, it's basically a rude awakening. And that's basically what I'm trying to say right there. So anyhow, I guess basically what I need to do is to go with this is from the Kim Iverson show from 2019. In 2016, Kim Iverson was for Bernie Sanders. In 2020, she was for Tulsi Gabbard. She entertained the idea of supporting Trump in 2024, but a few days ago she decided to endorse Jill Stein for president, which I was so relieved, because I don't agree with Kim Iverson on every issue. She's got some takes that are kind of cringe at times, to tell you the truth. But I do understand Kim Iverson in the sense that, and I'm not a libertarian by any stretch of the imagination, especially on economics. But I understand that she's from Idaho and I'm from North Carolina, two different parts of the country, but it's a parts of the country where there is a kind of a very conservative political atmosphere. And I think that in spite of her progressive persuasions, some of that conservative surroundings kind of crept into her political DNA. But I think it crept in the form of libertarianism in some ways. But so she comes up with some beliefs that doesn't fit into left-wing orthodoxy. And in some areas, I would agree with her. In some areas, I'm like, oh, Kim, why do you take that particular view? I don't have anything against her. I mean, we're all complex human beings. I don't expect, if you're on whatever side of the fence you're on, I'm not going to expect you to be 100% like a robot taking a party line issue on every single issue. I mean, we're, as I said, complex human beings, and we all have unique individual realities that makes us the different persons we all are. So, and I think that you have tribalists on both sides, and I don't mean like Democrat Republicans, but left and right. You have tribalists that demand that you go and take an absolute position on everything, absolutely everything. And as I said, there's not, and honestly, there's not a conservative person out there that doesn't have some kind of a progressive belief, and there's not a progressive out there that doesn't have some kind of conservative belief. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and play Kim Iverson's video. This goes back to 2019, where Meghan McCain and Tulsi Gabbard had their little altercation on The View. So I'm going to play a little bit of what Kim Iverson has to say, then I'm going to play you excerpts from The View. Just give me a moment here, and we'll get started. All right, let me do this.
The View today, and it went like you expected. It went as well as you expected. They tried to corner her and ask her about Assad. That's all anybody ever wants to ask her. Of course, at the end of the interviews, they always ask her, how do you feel about education and Medicare for all? But really, they invite her on because they just want to grill her about Assad. Everybody wants to know, are you friends with Assad? I mean, they might as well just ask, are you sleeping with Assad? Are you two boyfriend, girlfriend? That's where the line of questioning seems to go. It's just absolutely absurd. She holds, I don't know how she keeps her cool. I don't know how she doesn't just blow up at them. I know I would, but that's why I'm not running for president. I watch these interviews and it's always uncomfortable. I'm always gritting my teeth and I'm always impressed with how well she handles herself. So let's start off. I'm going to play some clips for you of this interview, of this very uncomfortable interview. You've got to watch the whole thing for yourself. I'll put the link down below and yeah, just be prepared. Wait until like a time of day when it's okay for you to get upset, maybe right before you go work out. And then that way you can release the energy somewhere, because believe me, you don't want to watch this right before you go to bed. So let's start off with the line of questioning. So this is Sunny Hostin. She was the least hostile on panel, and this was her question to Tulsi.
So should we not?
Oh, before I do, now to let you know that Kim Iverson is very critical of Tulsi Gabbard these days. She's been very displeased or not happy about her new political awakening, I guess you could say. So whatever criticism I may have of Kim Iverson that you heard me just uttered, she's to the left of Tulsi Gabbard today. I just want to go and lay that out right there. And I'm glad she's going to endorse Jill Stein for president. I am. Let's go and hear what The View did to Tulsi. And we'll see what Tulsi was like back then.
On the panel, and this was her question to Tulsi.
So should we not get involved when we see atrocities abroad?
We have to understand, looking at Iraq, Libya, and Syria, for example, that there are brutal dictators in the world. And unfortunately, there are people who are suffering as a result of that. But in so many examples throughout history, when the United States takes action and intervenes and launches these regime change wars to topple these dictators, the suffering of the people in these countries increases.
I don't know if you noticed, but Joy Bayer, her mouth, she was like, because later on she jumps in and kind of goes along with the attacks. Tulsi's saying the same message that she's been saying. Yeah, listen, we go around, we do this. I know that it might feel like we want to do this because we feel for these people. We want to go in for humanitarian reasons, but the reality is it's not helping anybody. And we've got to face that. We've got to own that, America. We can't just sit there and say, no, this is definitely better for the people. I mean, look at all of these other nations that are better off now, right? Yeah, no, nobody's really better off. There's very, very few examples. So what she's saying is, listen, it's not helping. You might be coming from the right place, which, by the way, they're not. The Pentagon and Congress and the big war machine, they're not coming from a good place. But what they do is they convince the American people that we have to do this because it's the humanitarian thing to do. It's the right thing to do. So the American people think, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, we got to do that. We have to do that because it's the right thing to do. But you know what? It's not, and it hasn't been, and we're not seeing any benefit to it. The people that we're marching in to go save, they're not getting any benefit, and they're the ones who are supposed to benefit from it the most, and we're certainly not either, because it's costing us a bunch of money, and it's costing us, more importantly, our American soldiers' lives. So,
and everything she said is true, and I think that most of my audience here, I think we're going to be kind of in agreement. But let's see here. Here's where Meghan McCain and Tulsi Gabbard sort of gets into it. So let's go with that right there. All right.
Just here's the question from Meghan McCain.
When I hear the name Tulsi Gabbard, I think of an Assad apologist. I think of someone who comes back to the United States and is spouting propaganda from Syria. You have said that the Syrian President Assad is not the enemy of the United States, yet he's used chemical weapons against his own people 300 times. That was a red line with President Obama. That is not our enemy. 13 million Syrians have been displaced. So when you say regime change is hurtful to the country, but gassing children isn't more hurtful, it's hard for me to understand where you come from a humanitarian standpoint if you were to become president.
Okay. She's talking about what's being done to children in Syria, supposedly by Bashar al-Assad. I'm no apologist for Bashar al-Assad, but I have said before that if Assad is toppled, what would take over, it's going to be far worse. And I have said that for a very long time. And Tulsi Gabbard's been given a whole lot of shit for talking to Assad. It was the right thing to do. it was the right thing to do to try to go and work on some kind of a peace mission in for Syria. And honestly, there's not a country in the Middle East that I support, whether we're talking about Syria, whether we're talking about Iran, whether we're talking about Israel, whether we're talking about whoever. There's not a country I support in that region. Every country has a fucked up some kind of a fucked up government. But it's not in my place to see the United States or any other country in the West to interfere in that region. When the West go in there, it just makes shit worse. Look what the problem with Iran. This shit goes back to 1953, for example, when the CIA toppled Mohammed Mossadegh. I cannot pronounce his name. Butchering the name, I'm sorry. But you get my point. A leftist government was toppled by the CIA, and you can see what happened. Oh, but Willie, yeah, but the Shah was better than the Ayatollah Khomeini. Little do people know that the Ayatollah Khomeini was a supporter of the Shah very early on. So I don't know how much comfort I could take with the Shah when under the previous government, when it was leftist, was basically a secular government. Any positive vibe and excesses of Western secularism that and democracy that takes place in some of these governments, especially left-wing governments, is because of their left-wing values. So leave the leftists who are alone, especially leave the leftists alone, West. But the West will not do it. The West will go and they'll go and intervene in there. I mean, look what Israel did in terms of cucking the PLO and break and doing the divide and conquer, the Hamas situation. I mean, I have a perspective on that. Got to remember, the real boss of Hamas is Benjamin Netanyahu. And Benjamin Netanyahu approves of Hamas being Hamas. The Mossad groomed, nurtured, funded, and weaponized Hamas to weaken the PLO, which orbited around the Soviets in influence. You see where I'm going with this? It's always about destroying and weakening the left. And that's what it comes down to. I know I've gotten kind of out of this on the side of this, off track, but it kind of is adjacent to what's going on here. And anyway, what Tulsi Gabbard did when Tulsi Gabbard was the Tulsi Gabbard that was based and relatively anti-imperialist, and I emphasize the word relatively because she wasn't even back then perfect on these issues, but she was probably the best if she was sincere, if she would really meant what she meant back then. She was probably the best that the realistic circumstances could provide as far as pushing the envelope was concerned. So I just wanted to go and mention that. So hold on a second here. Let me go. Let's continue with the View. I'm sorry, it is the View. I am sorry. So.
Well, you're putting words in my mouth that I've never said.
You did not say that Syrian President Assad is not the enemy of the United States. Say it now, clarify.
The issue here is, how can we help alleviate the suffering of people?
Just really one moment. Is he an enemy of the United States?
An enemy of the United States is someone who threatens our safety and our security.
Yeah, Tulsi once again saying the same message, and she should keep saying this over and over because I do think it's working. I do think it's actually resonating with the American people. From the reactions I saw to this interview online, I'm starting to see a shifting of the tide where people.
It was shifting at that time. This is prior to October 7th. That there was, let's get the fuck out of the Middle East, because it was an abysmal failure. Bush and Cheney created a bigger mess with the invasion of Iraq in 2003. And Meghan McCain would never ever admit that because she supported that shit. Her father, John McCain, was a massive war criminal. a massive war crime. And for some reason, I do not know why a lot of liberals sat there and acted like he was one of the better Republicans. He was a piece of shit. Now, I didn't vote for Obama in 2008. I voted for Ralph Nader. But you know what? Considering Obama versus McCain, while I think Obama was a crappy president, given the choice between the two, I'm still glad Obama beat McCain because, even though 2 countries turned into 7 countries, no telling how much worse it would have happened under McCain, because McCain was basically a super warmonger and probably maybe in some ways more dangerous than George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, because he has a way to reach across the aisle in ways that Bush and Cheney quite couldn't do it, because he was sort of like there was a time that Joe Biden was liked by both parties. I know that sounds hard to believe. He was sort of like a Joe Biden type in that regard. He was sort of like the Republican Joe Biden, probably smarter than Joe Biden, but you get what I'm saying. He was relatively liked by Democratic colleagues. They got along with him as a general rule. And I'm sure he was probably a nice man in person or something. But, he's certainly a failed father. Look what garbage he and his wife gave birth to that ended up being on a show called The View. So there is that. Let me see if there's any, some more from The View here.
She was also on the panel, and she wanted to ask Tulsi about Venezuela.
I'm very troubled by the tweet about Venezuela that you've put out. We've talked about that. What Maduro is doing to the people of Venezuela. There's over 3 million that have been displaced. People are starving. He's not allowing humanitarian aid in. He is a thug. He is a dictator. He is corrupt. And I am very supportive of what the United States is doing right now, leading the solidarity and support of freedom-loving Venezuelans and putting sanctions, economic and sanctions. Why are you so against intervention in Venezuela? Not military intervention, but what we are doing.
Because every time the United States, and particularly in Latin America, has gotten involved in regime change, using different tools to enact that regime change, there have been both short and long-term devastating impacts. If there are ways that we can work with surrounding countries to try to get humanitarian aid into people there, then we should be doing that. But for the United States to go in and choose who should be the leader of Venezuela, that is not something that serves the interests of the Venezuelan people. That's something that they need to determine
But the U.S.
themselves.
is not choosing who's going to be the leader of Venezuela.
Oh, we're not? Oh, really, Anna? Have you been not paying attention to the news? Pretty sure we just did that. Exactly what we did was we said, oh, you know what? The Venezuelan people have a sham election. It was rigged. This leader, Maduro, was not democratically elected. You know what we need to do? We need to go in and we need to insert a new leader, a guy who was not elected by the Venezuelan people, who the Venezuelan people largely didn't even know.
And I remember that shit back in 2019. And the thing about Venezuela and the thing about Syria was during that time, John Bolton was Donald Trump's national security advisor. A piece of garbage from the George W. Bush, Dick Cheney era, a piece of garbage from the George Herbert Walker Bush era, a piece of garbage going back to Ronald Reagan. John Bolton. A piece of garbage who's going to write in Dick Cheney for president in the year 2024, who wrote in Dick Cheney in the year 2020 for president. I told you never Trump or Republicans are actually worse than Trump himself, to the right. And anyway, the point I'm trying to say is that he was like really behind the scenes trying to topple the government of Venezuela back in 2019. And he was urging the West to support Al-Qaeda to topple the government of Syria. So if you think about this, I mean, this is the kind of bullshit that really motivated me back then. She was my second choice running for president. I donated $10 to Tulsi Gabbard. I donated, you've heard me talk about how much money I've donated over the decades to Bernie Sanders. And Catherine M. McCloskey, who's in our chat here, could tell you how much of a Bernie bro I was going back 20 plus years. So even before he became popular with everybody else. So, and I've donated plenty to Bernie. He's not getting another dime from me again. I promise you that. He will never get another dime from me again. But the thing is that I donated $10 to Tulsi because I wanted Tulsi to be Bernie's running mate. You've heard me say that time and time and time again too, because I thought that back then in those days of 2019 and 2020, I thought, wow, with Bernie's really awesome socialist message on the economy, to basically, to try to emulate countries like Denmark and Norway and Sweden and even countries like France and the UK with something as basic as universal health care and things of that nature. I thought, Bernie is what we need, and he's been relatively good on foreign policy, but sometimes he misses out on foreign policy too. So he as it's gotten to my attention, he's been more hit and miss on foreign policy. He's horrible on Russia, Ukraine today. He's been horrible on a few foreign policy ventures and of that nature. But he's I remember when he was talking about cutting back the military by 50%. And that was considered a radical position at one time. And now he's talking about cutting it back 10%. Bernie, what the fuck? You need to go back to the 50%. Get your conventional forces down to 50%. Really needs to go much further than that. But 50% is a good start. And eliminate the chemicals and biological nuclear weapons. No need to have it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. So anyway, I will put down the Kim Iverson link when I'm done with this video here of that 2019 story on Tulsi Gabbard being on The View. If you want to watch it all the way through, I just thought I'd kind of go through what I consider like the important parts of it, because I kind of thought was somewhat relevant and everything. So the thing about it is, it was contentious between Meghan McCain and Tulsi Gabbard, as you saw, and it was contentious with the other hosts. But I mentioned Tulsi Gabbard and Meghan McCain because back then you couldn't think of two more opposite people as back then. Somebody who was considered a relative anti-imperialist and somebody who was considered a neocon's neocon. And that's basically what I'm referring to there. And maybe what motivated me too was I remember in the fall of 2019 and was when Hillary Clinton basically accused her of being a Russian asset, and that really pissed me off. And I was happy when Tulsi decided to slap a $50 million lawsuit against Tulsi against Hillary Clinton. And I was mad that she dropped the damn lawsuit. She should have kept that lawsuit going, honestly. So unfortunately she didn't. But anyway, and you think about while we're getting involved with Ukraine or Russia today. Again, my conspiracy theory is that Hillary Clinton and a lot of mainstream Democrats, even some progressives, think that Vladimir Putin put Donald Trump in the White House in 2016. And when progressives, lefties, who are on board with that Russia derangement syndrome, the Putin derangement syndrome. I'm no fan of Putin, by the way, even though some people think I am. The thing is, here's the problem with that. The establishment Democrats are using the same tactic as the Bush-Cheney neocons did in 2002 with weapons of mass destruction. That sort of mindset. It's a continuation of that mindset. Remember, this bitch, Hillary Clinton, destroyed the one country in Africa that had a prosperous society, universal health care, free electricity, free college, free water. I mean, the highest standard of living, because it was an oil-rich country. We're talking about Libya. Now, Gaddafi was no saint, but he was sort of the Field Marshal Joseph Broz Tito of Africa, and he had a plan. He had a plan to transform Africa into the image of Libya, as far as trying to lift these nations out of poverty, and the West couldn't take it. So yes, I mean, she played a role in the destruction of Libya, and Libya became a slave state. So between Bush and Cheney, and between Hillary Clinton, they are cancer as far as I'm concerned. They are war criminals. They are war criminals. And so I saw Tulsi Gabbard as sort of she's sort of like the Abby Martin for the mainstream media. She was sort of the mainstream masses. She was like a grown-up AOC, or Abby Martin for the mainstream, or something like that. That's kind of how much I projected into her. Plus, I thought she was hot too. Tulsi, not Hillary Clinton. But suffice to say, I would just I was mad when Tulsi dropped the lawsuit. I was mad when she basically said, fuck Bernie, I'm going to go and endorse Joe Biden. So, I mean, I was just like, I started to have a terrible, my opinion of Tulsi started to go down. And then by the end of the year, she got together with a Republican congressman to work on a legislation that was a slap to the transgender community regarding women in sports, as if that's really an issue that's going to affect anything. I mean, you know, that's an insult to the transgender community when all they want is freedom and equality. So I mean, so so that's what it comes down to. So anyway, let's see. Let's go with the next. Let's see. Hold on here. Oh gosh. Yada. What? I actually lost that one photo, but anyway, what we're gonna do, we'll go with this really horrible. I'm not gonna play too much of it, but this is from Citizen McCain. So here we go. Hold on. Okay, here we go. All right. Now we'll try to speed this up because I don't want to have y'all exposed to this cattle individual more than you have to be.
Miranda, we had a bunch of topics to talk about. Bestseller. Congratulations.
Thank you. You know how many times like you asked me like, oh, hey, come and do this, go and do that. And how many times for like over years, like I cannot do anything other than finish this book.
Yeah. And the first person to say you actually wrote it. You're actually, because somebody had a ghostwriter help her with hers, but I don't know who that is. That's me. I
did have some help, but what I found through this process was, this is the first book I've ever written, and I ended up rewriting almost all of it. Just because it was important for me to have my voice come through and to be able to share the kinds of personal experiences and stories that are hard to communicate to somebody in a short period of time.
How have you been with the response so far? It's been out for
really
a few
nice.
weeks.
It's been incredible to hear from people, people who already know me and share that they learned something new about me, or that they were very moved by the stories that I told, and that my heart really came through. So I'm really grateful that happened. And then also just hearing from total strangers. I mean, I go in pretty hard on a lot of the challenges that we face in the country that ultimately led me to leave the Democratic Party. But even bigger than that is, like, we have to save our country now.
Mhm.
And so some of the Amazon reviews, and actually met a guy in New Hampshire who came up to me the other day, and he said, "Hey, I wrote this review of your book on Amazon, and this was the headline, and I'd read it." And the thing that I appreciated was that
I have no problem with you leaving the Democratic Party. I have a problem with you trying to become a Republican, because you went as a soldier, as a veteran, not knocking you down being a veteran, by the way. All these conservatives out there saw an attractive woman who's a veteran being beaten up because they don't know any better. They think Hillary Clinton is Bernie Sanders with a pussy. So they're like, "Oh, they're beating up on this Tulsi Gabbard. Why don't you come on over here, darling?" And that's basically what happened. And so I think that it was partly a grift, but I also think it was psychological. And here's the thing about Tulsi Gabbard is I don't think that she's well versed in the left. She's not a stupid woman by any stretch of the imagination. She's not, but she was a down the line Democrat that saw what happened to Bernie Sanders, because I remember her in 2012. She got elected to Congress, and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, and I'm using the word grooming in a benign, uncontroversial way. She was supposed to be the candidate that was supposed to be the heir to the Obama Clinton tradition, because it was just conventional wisdom in 2012 that it was just taken for granted. Hillary Clinton was going to get the Democratic nomination. It's going to be a cakewalk. She was going to win in 2016. She was going to win in 2020, be reelected. And then Tulsi Gabbard is going to win in 2024. They just thought that the Democrats are going to win forever. There was a time people said that. And look where we're at today. Donald Trump is going to come back probably in November. I'm like 90% sure. It's not what I want. I don't want Joe Biden either, by the way, when I say that. You can actually not want Donald Trump to be president and not want Joe Biden to be president at the same time. I promise you, it's possible. But the thing about it is, I think psychologically, it's like, oh, they care about me. And those people over there, these Democrats, were so mean to me. And I think that's how she started tiptoeing to the right. Also, I think that some right-wing money came to her. I don't know where the source came from. Was it PragerU money? Well, I don't know. I don't know where it came from. But I think that she was paid to grift. Because I'm not even talking about her coming on Tucker Carlson. I never had a problem with her coming on Tucker Carlson. I don't like Tucker Carlson, but that's not my concern. With her coming on Tucker Carlson, I actually did approve, because that was a way to talk to a reluctant right-wing audience about the issue of war. But then she started talking about Islamism as if it was the year 2002 again. And even the one positive thing Biden done foreign policy wise, which was to pull out of Afghanistan. And I have to tell people to shut the fuck up. Oh, it wasn't done neatly enough. What, pullouts are going to be neatly anywhere? Whatever. I'll give every dog his due. And Joe Biden's a piece of shit, but he did the right thing to pull the troops out of Afghanistan. That's the only thing I can give him on foreign policy. But he's done so much worse since then with Russia, Ukraine, and with the basically being a cuck for Benjamin Netanyahu, which the right wing claim he's not sucking up to Netanyahu enough. If you can believe that. And Tulsi Gabbard is basically mimicking that talking point. Tulsi, I thought you were for the peace movement. I remember, and I'm not criticizing Nico House, but he was a campaign surrogate of sorts for Tulsi Gabbard on his show. And back then, because we were all fooled. A lot of us were fooled on the left about Tulsi. Even the best of us were fooled. And I remember him. I think he was having a conversation. Who was he having? He might have been having a conversation with Kyle Kalinske about this, about how Tulsi Gabbard, she's hated by the Saudi Arabian government and hated by the Israeli government, and that had appealed to him as a candidate, which I understand that, and that does have appeal from where I stand. If you're hated by Saudi Arabia and you're hated by Israel, you must be doing something right, or at least that was the perception at the time. And so it went from that to basically, Islamism is the biggest threat to human civilization. It's kind of like, Tulsi, WTF. And she manages to still be correct on Russia, Ukraine, but being correct on Russia, Ukraine, but being a hawk on Taiwan, and being a hawk on Gaza, and being a hawk on all the Middle Eastern adjacent skirmishes around the world ain't cutting it for me. It's just not cutting it for me at all. So just like Robert Kennedy in that regard. And that's another thing. She declined to be Robert Kennedy's running mate, which I think it's because she wants to be Donald Trump's running mate. And I could be wrong, but I think that she'll not end up being Donald Trump's running mate for this reason. She's Hindu. Namarada Ranhadwa, Nikki Haley, is a practicing Methodist. So she has a better chance of becoming Donald Trump's running mate than Tulsi Gabbard, believe it or not. And I will, and maybe Tulsi will be the running mate, and that would be a shocker. But I just think for that reason she will not be, because she has the credentials otherwise that Donald Trump will want, and basically he'll want a candidate. He wants a candidate that's attractive, and whether he's faithful to his wife or not. He wants an attractive wife. He wants an attractive running mate that he can either fuck or have fantasies about fucking. And look at Tulsi Gabbard. Objectively, you're a straight guy. You want to go and you got little dirty thoughts in your head about Tulsi. She's been in many, 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 many masturbational fantasies of mine to this day. And AOC is in the masturbational fantasies too. Lots of three ways going on. Lots of three ways. And they're both much further left in the masturbational fantasy than they are in real life. I have something to think about when I'm done with this video tonight. But anyhow, getting back to what I was saying here. But here's the problem. Donald Trump is an attention whore. And that means that he wants a candidate that's low key. She is not low key. She'll have cameras all around her because she's controversial. Just like with the squad. The cameras can't stay off of AOC enough. And Donald Trump has cameras on him all the time because there's no such a thing as bad publicity. And he's an attention whore. And he's going to hate that some of the attention is taken away from him. So he wants a candidate that's going to be low key. And also, Tulsi is a Hindu. And if you're running as a Republican, you just don't want a nominal Christian, Catholic or Presbyterian or Methodist or an Episcopalian or whatever. In today's Republican Party, they want you to be some really freakish, outlandish, born again, personal experience, non-denominational Christians, you know, and I'm not knocking down people who are non-denominational Christian, but the people who likes the Republican Jesus persona type, that's what they want in a candidate. And she doesn't have that. But if somehow she can do that overnight and convince people that, then she might have a shot to be Trump's VP. Just saying. Listen, in 2012, they had a hard enough time with Mitt Romney being Mormon, okay? So, but just listen to this, them just gabbing away right there.
It's obviously a very honest book, but people are leaving feeling hopeful, which is hard. And it's hard right now for a lot of people to feel hopeful we have these conversations ourselves in private. So I'm really grateful that is the takeaway. It is a feeling of hope and motivation that we, the people, are the only ones who can save our country.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I know firsthand it was a total labor of love.
Yes.
And I don't think it was like, based on just wanting to talk about politics. It just like came from your heart. And I know firsthand again how passionate you are about it. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
My books never sell. So
Stop
I'm so
that is a huge
kidding.
lie.
Books never sell. Gee, I wonder why.
Obviously your most recent
I wonder why.
audiobook.
Yes.
I loved it, and I cried
Thank you.
during some of the most powerful portions of that book.
Thank you.
Same right back at you. Like, I know you, so I know that you were opening up parts of your heart that you hadn't before.
So I want to start with, people are always surprised that we're such close friends. And I think because like on paper, we're pretty opposite. You're vegan. I eat everything, including McDonald's. You work out all the time. I hate working out. You're very, spiritually healthy.
She doesn't work out. It's probably the most honest thing that I ever heard coming out of Meghan McCain's pie hole. And a lot of, she crammed that pie hole with a lot of shit. She has.
You're in the military. I think that the military would probably kick me out if I joined the military. Like, I think like baseline, there's probably...
I can't imagine what you would say to it.
Yeah, they would probably kick you out, but you certainly like the military, drone striking and bombing everything like your dad did.
Drill sergeant, if they told you to do push-ups.
Have you seen Private Benjamin with Goldie Hawn?
No.
Okay, it's this movie where Goldie Hawn like accidentally joins the army, and that's me.
Oh, I do.
And she's like, she's terrible at the whole. It's a really funny. Watch that movie. It's really funny. But she's like with her Louis Vuitton bag, and she's like crying, and she's like, "Don't want to be in the army," and then she ends up staying in the army.
I will probably put down that link too, if you like. But you get the gist. It's so stupid that video. So. Anyway, I totally despise Meghan McCain, and it just breaks my damn heart to see Tulsi Gabbard, be, I don't give a damn if Tulsi Gabbard's friendly with a conservative. I mean, I have conservative friends, I have conservative family members. I have, I dated a conservative. It's all good. It's all good, but. As I said, it's just, she's just a special kind of hateful. And just a self-entitled, not that I'm a saint or a good person or something, but, I can look at someone like Meghan McCain and she's just a flat out awful person. I mean, she just, nobody likes her across the board. Even during the McCain campaign, you had people that work for McCain that couldn't stand working, couldn't stand her presence because she had this entitlement mentality. It tells you everything you need to know about her and everything. But if you really, really want to know how I feel about Meghan McCain, well, let's see. I think that this Tim Dillon video will express it best.
My father died. I had a baby with him, and it will be raised in captivity. It'll be raised privately to be the greatest politician that's ever lived. My name is Meghan McCain, and I'm on a news show called The View. And Donald Trump, that fucking riverboat casino captain, is talking shit about my father again. My father was tortured for 100 years for this fucking country, and he came back and he started 7 wars because he's a gentleman. Fuck you, Trump. I'm going to wear my father's skin mask, and I'm going to primary Trump from the right. Come on The View, bitch. If you're that tough, come on The View. You want it, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez? You want this shit? You want to fuck these tits, Trump? You want to fuck these tits? No, you don't. You want to suck cock. But I won't fuck you because the only person I'll fuck is Daddy. I'll fuck his corpse. I'll fuck Daddy's corpse.
Yep. That's Tim Dillon, one of my favorite comedians. And he pretty much laid it out about the true Meghan McCain. Now, it kind of gets better with AI. Same video, but this time instead of Tim Dillon, you get to see Alex Jones do the same thing. How about that?
Before my father died, I had a baby with him, and it will be raised in captivity. It will be raised privately to be the greatest politician that has ever lived. My name is Meghan McCain, and I'm on a news show called The View. And Donald Trump, that fucking riverboat casino captain, is talking shit about my father again. My father was tortured for 100 years for this fucking country, and he came back and he started 7 wars because he's a gentleman. Fuck you, Trump. I'm going to wear my father's skin mask, and I'm going to primary Trump from the right. Come on The View, bitch. If you're that tough, come on The View. You want an Alexandria Ocasio Cortez? You want their shit? You want to fuck these tits, Trump? You want to fuck these tits? No, you don't. You want to suck cock. But I won't fuck you because the only person I'll fuck is Daddy. I'll fuck his corpse. I'll fuck Daddy's. Before my father died, I had a baby with him.
Okay. So, yep, that was an AI. That wasn't really Alex Jones. That was an AI generated version of the Tim Dillon video of Alex Jones saying the same shit that came out of Tim Dillon's mouth about Meghan McCain and her hatred of Donald Trump, and and with the entitlement mentality from The View and all that. So I don't know. I agree with Retro Gamer when he says one of his best bits ever. I would like to see more Meghan McCain being played by Tim Dillon, honestly. Anyhow, let's go back through the chat line here, and I'll scroll through here, and I'll be talking to everybody. Or let's see, let's scroll back up here. Hold on a second. I hope everybody's doing well this evening. Well, I have a lot of chats here. All right, hold on. All right. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Warren says here, still want to see her in the Wonder Woman outfit. I'm thinking you're referring to Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, I just want to see her nude. Let's see. There are actually, if you go online, you can find them. And Photoshop is great, by the way. Good to see you again, Willie Miguel Extra Cowboy Kitty says great. Great seeing you too. Let's see. What a sweet potato. How are you doing today, Desert Mantis? Great seeing you. Let's see here. Gonna scroll on down. Let's see. All right. Let's see. All right. Looking around here. I still have a Tulsi t-shirt. for sale, slightly used. I almost bought one. I got a lot of Bernie stuff, but I almost bought a pen. I almost bought a campaign sign. Never did. I just donated $10. We sure do. And we have a bipartisan path toward fascism in the United States. I mean, we've been on a path toward fascism since 2001 for sure. I mean, George W. Bush laid the foundation for it. Obama did some stupid things. Trump did some stupid things. Biden did some stupid things, and I'm sure that Trump will do some stupid things again. So, it's just, some people call it a Tuesday, I mean, and when once one side do something fucked up, the other side's going to cluster church pearls and say, "Well, how dare you?" Until they're the ones that get in power. That's how that turns out. I abandoned my car back in the 90s at a junkyard, left a note and my phone number. He bought it for $50. All right. Let's see. I saw it looks like he was in Depeche mode. Kind of. I never thought about that. Depeche Mosque. Yeah. Let's see here. Kim Iverson. Kim has an interesting look on her face. I mean, she's actually she's a very unique individual. I mean, she's always struck me as a little weird at times, but I like her quirky persona. As I said, I don't agree with her on everything. Let's see here. That photo. All right. And I'm scrolling through, so I want to make sure everybody is taken care of. Let's see. Willie's banding Iranian politicians' names around like the Shah voting. Yeah, I'm sorry about butchering the names. Happy Tuesday, hey everyone, says Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Well, happy Tuesday to you. Let's see. Yep. Let's see. Hold on here. Yeah, the U.S. doesn't spread democracy. It pretends to, but it doesn't. I mean, look at the invasion of Iraq. I mean, they ended up in a worse situation. I mean, the country became less democratic, more fundamentalist. It ended up being friendly with Iran. You would think the neocons would not want that, but it actually, neocons are not smart people like they claim they are. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Catherine McCloskey said that Obama, Biden, and Clinton destroyed Libya. Very true. Very true. I still recall Trump's line about McCain. He's not a war hero. He was a war hero because he was captured. I like people who aren't captured. Yeah, that might have been a little cruel on Trump's part and everything, and here's the thing about McCain. Stops, when he was alive, I wish he just stopped supporting the bombing of every country. But he's got Lindsey Graham carrying on his voice today. John Bolton and Michael Bolton should fight it out in a square circle. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Trump has a soft spot, blind spot for neocons. Yeah, when he campaigned in 2016, he sounded like he was not really going to buddy too much with the neocons. And then he sort of kind of did, but it was sort of like he was throwing an olive branch. But Glenn Greenwald said that the reason why there was slightly, U.S. was slightly less aggressive during the Trump years wasn't that Trump was this great peacenik and I'm paraphrasing him, it was the chaos between the Trump people and the neocons and the GOP establishment and the resistance liberals who were trying to bring Trump down. And it was just so much friction and chaos and turmoil that the U.S. accidentally was less aggressive. It's weird how it works out that way sometimes. Maybe there's something to that libertarian argument when the government doesn't do anything, everything's better off or something like that. So I don't know. That was Nancy Pelosi frozen on the screen instead of Kim. The eyebrows would be placed about 2 inches high above the forehead. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I'm sure Nancy Pelosi can hit the bottle a little more often now, so since she's not no longer the Speaker of the House. Let's see. Yeah, she likes to go and eat her special little chocolate ice cream. That was cringe when I saw that a couple of years ago. Hillary never pays for the bags at the store because she brings her own under her eyes. Yep. Let's see. She should get Kroger tattooed under them. Oh my God, that's funny. That is funny. Hillary looks like she roasted a marshmallow that fell off in the dirt. Yep. He had a plan to create an African currency. That's correct. Gaddafi, the U.S. was never going to allow that. And yeah, and it perplexed my mind as to why, because I would think that in Africa, which is prosperous, where the standard of living is on par with the West and with country with the Far East, would be good for everyone involved, and it would actually be a safer world too in the long run. I would think it'd be a win-win for everyone. I would think it would be. So let's see. A Retro Gamer. Hey, hello, Retro Gamer. How are you doing today? All right. And I think I said hello to everybody here. I hope I haven't missed anyone. I'm scrolling through. I hope I haven't missed anyone. Hold on. Did I miss anybody? Let's see. Oh, Joey, how are you doing today? Haven't caught you live in a while. What's up, Willie? How are you doing, Joey? Let's see. She interviewed Nick Fuentes on X a while ago. You talking about Meghan McCain? Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, he got caught with the porn. Let's see. I think there's somebody I'm missing here. Let's see. There's somebody that was here that I'm missing that I haven't seen in a while. Okay. If I haven't mentioned your name, the person I thought I haven't seen in a while, if you're up here, hello. Okay. So anyway, yes, that's it for the Willie Bragg show right now, folks. I will say that, oh, okay, my bad. Kim Iverson. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, still caught with the porn though. I mean, that was the funny part. So, as for the, let's see. I heard it was a hacking, but I because Nick Fuentes is Nick Fuentes, and considering how toxic he is, I would just go along with it's always those that make the allegations and those that are super judgmental, the ones that get caught. That's usually the way it goes. So as far as I'm concerned, and I've always had my suspicions about Nick Fuentes anyway. So there's that as well. So if you all like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any way you disagree with what I have to say. We will have a conversation. Feel free to share the content that I have here on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it. Because we are the muckrakers of our time. Feel free to also subscribe to the Willie Bragg Show here on YouTube and Twitch and Rumble and some of the other platforms that I may be on later on in the near future. And remember to reject corporate media because they have nothing at all to offer any of us. Really quick announcement. I'm going to start trying to stream more consistently more often. So I don't know what time. I'm trying to put an actual time, but right now, kind of expect Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and if there's just kind of more or less expect it. I'm not going to pinpoint a time, but kind of expect that I will be doing some kind of a stream and whatever in between, because I'm trying to be consistent again and all of that in spite of my work schedule and all. So. I just wanted to let y'all know about that. So again, reject corporate media and all. And free Palestine. They need our support more than ever. Free Julian Assange. He needs our support more than ever. Free healthcare for all. We Americans need that more than ever. And free speech, which is definitely on the endangered species list, politically speaking. So until next time, I will talk to you all later. Take care. And thank you once again for the influx of the subscription numbers on this channel. It's been helping, and spread the word. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.